Issue 208. The Iron Queen tells Snively rather heartlessly that he has 30 seconds to give her a solution to her problem, and then she's gonna toss him into a cell like Eggman. Snively uses a hologram projector and tells her all about the nanites, and the Iron Queen realizes that those nanites are completely vulnerable to her techno magic, provided she goes to the city when the force field's not up, then yeah. She spins around happily holding him and says to rally the troops. And at the air base in the Nanite City, which has its own fancy name to make the world feel more alive, Tails is working on the new Tornado too. Tails explains that what kind of a mechanic would he be if he let Nicole do all the building for him. Good point. She would make all of the inventors obsolete with her nanite building ability. Kind of undermines Tails, Broder, and Uncle Chuck's accomplishments when you consider Nicole could have done the same things as them in this case, at least as soon as the Nanite City became a thing. Tails says that it's his responsibility to get the Tornado 2 up and running again. It got damaged? Did I forget that from earlier? Sonic asks what happened to the other one they've been using, and Tails says that Nicole recycled the nanites on him instead of just letting him keep using that plane he loved so much. Odd. He then shows his close bond with them by figuring out just as easily as Bunny did with Sally that something's on Sonic's mind. Sonic is just about to complain about the Sally and Con situation before he hears a noise and asks if the Iron Dominion's attacking again. Nicole reports that it's an invasion and she's raising the force field, explaining that the Iron Queen's forces are taking their time and making no effort to hide their approach. Sally is suspicious because this seems arrogant and reckless even for them. And speaking of arrogant and reckless, then Nicole, wow, it's Nicole herself who made the bullheaded decision of approaching a Technomage by herself. Wow, what an idiot. I thought she was supposed to be a genius. I heard that it was Sally's fault, but no! Nicole approached her by herself. What a stupid way to force this concept to happen. This is the classic example of a fanfiction writer being so excited to write a story about a concept in their head that they don't care enough to justify it properly, and force it to happen when it logically shouldn't have. I mean, they could have had her sneak up on Nicole, like when she was in her handheld form with the heroes. The whole Iron Dominion saga to this point has felt like nothing but a long string of characters like the heroes grabbing the idiot balls just for the sake of the plot. All of these heroes should have known better than to have cyborg and technology characters anywhere near the Iron Queen. Con had no reason not to warn Bunny and no reason to approach the Iron Queen himself, and Nicole's a freaking genius. She should have known better than this. She should have talked to her behind the force field. Instead, the heroes all act like they have no brains, honestly acting stupider than they ever did in the comic, worse than anything in the Dark Age, all for the sake of forcing cool concepts to happen that logically shouldn't have. There was no reason that should have happened to her so easily. I was expecting that the Iron Queen would make her way into the city at night when the force field wasn't raised or something and sneak up on Nicole, but she literally just warps straight to her and tells her to leave, when it could have easily been Sally ordering her to leave, as if that would even work. Why did she think that this was a good idea? Considering that she can teleport her 3D holographic form wherever she wants, which isn't like organic beings, she shouldn't have forgotten she's not a normal organic being. It takes a great concept and makes it sound stupid because it shouldn't have logically happened in the first place. I already heard about Nicole being brainwashed well before it happened, but by this point I'm so starved of interesting things happening with Nicole's character that I practically welcome this change. It's really refreshing to see what Nicole would be like if she was a villain, since we never got to see an evil twin of hers or anything. Probably because Boomer knows that it would just backfire on him. I was really expecting that they'd do more with her having what looks like an organic body and have her have more socially awkward moments. But they barely do anything with the concept. She only has 2 social awkwardness moments, and her organic body constantly has only the top half of it show up, implying that it really is just an oddly tangible hologram. She should be more than capable of making a real one with her nanites when she can make a real everything else. Real grass, real buildings, real trees. Then we could have her experiencing life as an organic being and actually have moments around it, like her eating, wanting to experience every single variety of food she can think of, for example. And trying on all sorts of different outfits because she can do that now. All of those experiences about organic life that we take for granted being all new to her, that's what I always liked about her character in theory, and we don't get to see that. This better be used better in the reboot. Instead, her character has been handled about as boringly as when she was just in her machine form, with her giving exposition and using her technology powers without much actual character moments. Only now she's more appealing because she has a new design. So at this point, I welcome seeing her character be used more interestingly. It's ironic, I expected to hate this concept for being too dark and depressing, having a hero brainwashed like this, and people turning on her later. And I did for a long time, but when I actually read up to it, I ended up welcoming the change of pace. The thing I hate about it is how forced it is, not the concept in theory. Anyways, with Nicole having a new design, that at least makes more sense because she could just be brainwashed to alter her body's appearance according to the Queen's will. Iron Nicole lets the army into the city. Sally has to tell Bunny to fly away, with Bunny only realizing afterwards that it's because she'd be a danger to her friends faced against a technomage. How did she not figure that out instantly? How did she have to get told that? She is unable to leave the city because a sort of metallic force field encapsulates it, and the city goes dark for intimidation factor, with freedom fighters in the spotlight being placed under arrest. Sally orders the panicking civilians to go home, and Khan to get her brother and the Acorn Council home as well. Khan then tells her while defending her from a ninja that the castle has been sealed shut. He found out that quickly? It was only one panel. I didn't know he was that close to it. Tails and Sonic complain about not being able to find anyone, and then Sally calls out for them. Sonic complains that he can't see well enough to fight and we just have to take his word for it since the lighting looks just as bright as daylight here. Sally says that they need to debug Nicole, and Tails says that if they can get to Freedom HQ, he can access the city's mainframe from the lab. I have a question. If Nicole can detect where everyone is in the city, and even slightly outside it, to find Miles and knows exactly who she's detecting, why doesn't she know where the heroes are at all times to keep them from ever going to where they want to go? Do you think this would prevent them from ever doing what they want to do? The Iron King confronts them, and Khan attacks him and says that he'll hold him off while he trusts Sonic to protect Sally. So how long before the Iron Queen brainwashes him again? I mean, he's right there. Iron Nicole should be able to tell the Iron Queen where exactly Khan is so that he can be brainwashed too. Not to mention Bunny. Meanwhile, Snively wastes time bragging to Eggman, and all Eggman can say in response is a comment on him losing all his hair, as if he just noticed that. Vector asks what he should do since the heroes are split up and outnumbered, and Antoine admits that retreat is their only option. Vector points out that he still has a warp ring to Angel Island, and Antoine says to rally the Chaotix and secure the island for the evacuees, while he and Bunny will hold the fort here. Wait, first he says he and her will do that since he says we and not I, and then he tells Bunny to leave, having to remind her once again that she's vulnerable to techno magic. Bunny lampshades that the old Antoine would be the first one to run for the hills, and Antoine says that she gave him the courage to do this, somehow. Bunny insists on fighting alongside him anyways, which is good since he had no chance on his own, and Antoine says, "Here's the power of our love," attacking the ninjas with her. Unfortunately, this amounts to nothing, as Iron Nicole summons a bunch of metal hands with cool neon lights on them, like the Twilight Wallmaster and Twilight Princess, to try to grab everyone, starting out with Antoine and Bunny. The Tornado too gets grabbed by the hands as well, and Sonic is able to destroy them instead of the hands being made out of unbreakable material for some weird reason. Amy then comes to Khan's aid against the Iron King, and Khan compliments her, making her all adorably happy as she tells him that she'll handle the villain herself. Khan then reunites with Sally, Sonic, and Tails and blasts a hole through the metal force field with lightning, because the force field that wouldn't have been affected by lightning is replaced with metal that can easily be destroyed now, because plot convenience. That was glaringly lucky. There's absolutely no reason to have the force field be made of breakable metal other than to help the heroes. And it's not like Nicole still has a little free will left and is making these mistakes on purpose, at least I don't think so, is it? Wow, the story arc just got really engaging. I want to see what happens next more than ever. This issue is by Ian Flynn. The Iron Nicole plot point is a refreshing change of pace for her character. I'm actually doing something with Nicole's character again finally, letting us see what she'd be like as a villain. Great since it helps make up for the massive missed opportunity of the evil twins not having a Nicole of their own. Although she probably would have been powerful enough to upstage Scourge or something and been too much of a distraction, I don't know. The problem with this plot point isn't that it's too dark like I thought it'd be, as at this point I don't really care that much anymore. I thought they'd take way more advantage of her having an organic body of sorts now to have charming, interesting moments with her experiencing life, but instead she's just a boring city leader with technology powers. The problem is that this plot point came from once again handing a giant idiot ball to a character. I've almost lost count of how many cool concepts were forced to happen despite logic and reason in this arc. And all the idiot balls from the Iron Dominion and the heroes combined. In fact, I actually ended up making a whole list of how many times Ian Flynn forced a concept to happen, and I'm at 77 by this point, and 7 times for the Iron Dominion arc alone. But Nicole deciding to face a Techno Mage crosses the line a million times in a row. Holy shit, that was stupid. She had no reason to even bother trying to face her and threaten her because come on, telling a villain not to try to invade? When has that ever worked? She could have easily just stayed home. Over and over again, the Iron Queen is artificially forced to be a threat because of complete idiocy on the good guys' part. All because if the heroes were acting with more than one brain cell, they would be hiding away Bunny, Con, and Nicole from her from day one, and the characters in question wouldn't constantly be trying to go up to her themselves. Such mind-boggling stupidity from the characters. I have never read a story arc that I both loved and hated so much at the same time. I love the concepts of the Iron Queen and Snively ruling, and her Technomage controlling powers and all that stuff, but the execution, letting those concepts happen, is extremely contrived and forced. It's so lazy. What they should have done is not have Khan make it to the heroes in time before Bunny could get controlled, rather than making him an idiot. And not have Nicole be an idiot either. I was expecting Nicole to be caught by the Iron Queen in some clever way, completely off guard. But instead, she literally just hands herself over to her in the laziest Diabolic Ex Machina possible. They could have had the Iron Queen eventually break the force field down with her Technomage powers. Though even then, Nicole should have been able to hide from her just fine and escape the city with Sally. Then she could go attack the freedom fighters and then Nicole would be brainwashed because she'd be with them when their guards were down. That would have made a lot more sense than this.